What's going on, guys? It's your boy LQ, Mr. Real Deal Fantasy HQ, and welcome to the RotoBaller Fantasy Sports YouTube channel. Please make sure you guys like and subscribe. And today I got the stardom sit-em defenses for Week 11. Man, we are flying by. But I got 3 defenses you should be starting and 1 defense you should be fading this week. It might get spicy, so hang around to the end of the video. I don't want to waste any more time, so let's get right into the episode. Now, you got some notable defenses on bye week this week, like the Falcons, Saints, and Colts. Now, these defenses, you've kind of been sliding in and out of your starting lineups for basically most of the season. But, man, I got a defense that is still highly available to you on the waiver wire. I don't know how, but the sudden change and turnaround this defense, man, it is great. It's the Vikings going up against the Denver Broncos this season. Now, the Vikings, man, the first 5 weeks, they probably lived and breathed on your waiver wire. But now, the sudden change since week 6, they kind of turned around and looked like a solid defense that you could put in starting lineups for the rest of the season. Now, they're going up against the Broncos offense, who have not been a threat all season. They're actually ranked last in offensive drives in the NFL right now. Only 10 drives per game they've been doing, so I don't think that's a lot of work for the Vikings defense, so that can be clear opportunity to rack up some points. I mean, look, since week 6, this Vikings defense have completely turned around, and it's pretty cool to see them do this now that we're getting closer to the fantasy playoffs, and that's why I said they could be a solid start for the rest of the season. Since week 6, they have 2nd in takeaways, top 5 in opponent passer rating, top 10 in sacks, along with other major categories that can provide opportunities to put some points on the board this week. So I got the Vikings as a smash this week, going up against the Denver Broncos offense, who just clearly don't have the juice to be a threat this week. Next up, you got the Dolphins going against this Raiders offense, and man, the Dolphins have had some juice ever since Jalen Ramsey has returned. In the last 2 games, they're top 5 in the fewest total yards per game allowed to offenses. And I like this Dolphins defense that have some swagger going up against this Raiders offense that's kind of still been stale ever since they blew up the whole coaching staff over there. Yeah, they're 2-0, but only 4 offensive touchdowns in the last 2 games. And Aiden O'Connell doesn't look like he's much special at the quarterback position. So the Raiders' focus seems to be more on the run game. I mean, yeah, the run game looks good with Josh Jacobs, but they're going up against the Dolphins defense where all season, man, they just been pounding against the run. Since week 2, they have allowed less than 100 rushing yards per game to running backs. So that is something I want to put emphasis on, where they can keep this Raiders offense in check. 6 of their 9 games this season, they've held opponents to 21 points or less. So I don't see the Raiders being this exciting, explosive offense going up against the Dolphins defense, who've been playing really good football in the last couple of weeks. So I like the Dolphins this week going against the Raiders to keep them in check. There's opportunity for points on the board. Next up, you got the Chargers versus the Packers, and I like the Chargers this week because they've been getting after the quarterback all season. They're tied 2nd in the NFL in sacks, and they've been averaging at least 3 sacks per game. But even better, they're on the road this week going against the Packers. They've been averaging 4.5 sacks per game on the road, which is the most in the NFL. They're also 3rd on opponent third down percentage, so they're cutting dry of all drives. Now, Jordan Love, he's been looking up and down this season, but it looks like he's been trying to get things together in the last couple of weeks, but they're still struggling in an area where it's very important, which is the red zone. They're ranked 6th lowest in the NFL right now in red zone percentage. So with this Chargers defense bringing a lot of pressure, getting after the quarterback, and like I said, on the road, 4.5 sacks per game on the road, it's got me worried about this Packers offense, but it's a great thing for this Chargers defense to be in your starting lineups. Next up, we got a team that you should be fading this week, and I know there's some notable defenses on bye, so it might be tough to kind of shift some things around, but I'm just saying that the Steelers going against the Browns this week, I don't like the matchup. These division games, they always end up in a shootout, or they put up 21 plus points, because in week 2, when these 2 teams met, they both put up 22 plus fantasy points. Deshaun Watson had 235, which was one of his better games and a touchdown, but the Steelers defense, man, they're one of the worst defenses on the road when it comes to total yards per game. They're giving up 389 this season, and I'm not liking that against this Browns offense, who's kind of starting to gel and figure some things out. Like I said, Watson's banged up, but you got to look at where the points are going to actually come from, because if you look at the Steelers on the road, only 6 sacks on the road this season, which is 28th in the NFL. So there's not a lot of points on this team right now where I can have them in my starting lineup. I might be pivoting to other options because I just don't feel safe with the Steelers going against the Browns. on the road when I just told you that they only have 6 sacks, and that's 28th in the NFL. So I'm not too sure if there's going to be a bunch of turnovers. I'm not sure if there's going to be sacks on the table, because these games, they do get weird. So I'll be looking for other options this week, pivoting to probably one of the defenses I mentioned earlier in this video, because some are on the waiver wire. There's other teams out there that you could pivot to, but the Steelers, you just have to get your expectations in order and not expect a smash week or a bunch of points where they could probably finish outside maybe the top 7, maybe top 8 right now this week in week 11 for defenses. So this wraps up another great episode of RotoBaller Fantasy Sports YouTube channel. Please make sure you guys like and subscribe, and leave a comment below on all your start and sit questions, and I'll try to answer them all the way up until game time. So you guys can follow me at Real Deal Fantasy on all social media platforms. Until next time.